Hey, what's up, guys? It's B-Dog coming at you with another episode of Movie Expertise Needed. Today I'm with Christian
Hello.
and Cody.
Hey.
And today we're going to be talking about a movie called The Void that came out in 2016. I'm going to shout out Cody. He's got a YouTube channel. It's called Pope Home Slice. You all should check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Yeah, sure. Well, it's not movie content. I just want to warn you. It's religion-based stuff, so just fair warning, but you still should go check it out because it's good. Anyways, let's get into this podcast. Okay, so The Void. I confused this movie with a movie that came out like 3 or 4 years ago called Enter the Void. Not exactly sure what that's about. Do either of you know what that movie is?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I haven't even heard of it before.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't either.
So yeah, this movie, I didn't know what to expect going into this movie. Christian mentioned something about The Thing, and I'm like, okay, this movie is something else. Christian.
Okay. Yeah, so I forget exactly how I came across this movie. You know, I like to watch a lot of independent movies, and I especially love indie horror movies. And I think I was just looking on the internet or something. I saw it and it looked interesting. So then I watched it, and I really liked it because there's a lot of different like themes in it, and I got a lot of vibes from different horror movies. It reminded me a lot of Silent Hill with some things that happen in it. Just the designs of some of the creatures and the things that happen in it, and then it reminded me with the Thing as well, with some of the other designs of creatures or whatever you want to call them. But I really liked it. I thought it was a very good movie. It had a pretty decent score, and it's kind of like one of those movies that you can sit down and watch it and not necessarily like forget about it when you're done, as in like, oh, like I don't need to ever like think of that movie again. But you can like sit down and watch it, and you kind of feel content with it, and then think about it, and just kind of like go on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty memorable.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I was trying to say it's like forget like you would forget it forgettable. I should say I'm not trying to say it's forgettable, but it's just like one of those movies where you watch it and then you can think about it and be like, okay, I don't need to see like a sequel, or there doesn't need to be a sequel or a prequel to do it or anything like that. At least in my opinion, I thought it was good just as being a standalone film.
Okay, Cody.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with him. It's very memorable. There's a lot of mystery surrounding the storyline and like how things happen, why things happen, the backstories of some characters. What was that last thing you said?
How it doesn't need to have any sequels or prequels.
Oh, yeah. The way it ends really it doesn't leave much room for a sequel. Maybe a prequel, given how the backstories of a bunch of characters are missing. But I highly doubt it because it seems like, well, in the movie it hints that this stuff has been the stuff that's been happening has been happening for like years, but it only started to take off within like the past couple of months before the event that happens in the movie. So I don't think a prequel would really be necessary because we kind of already know most of everything that happens within the last couple months of the event that happens in the movie. But yeah, I'd say it's a very memorable movie. I don't remember, Chris, you telling me that it's like The Thing. But I just rewatched it, and when I was watching it, some of the monsters that show up and kind of how they get formed really reminded me of The Thing.
Yeah, that's what I was drawing my main, like, I don't know, vibes from it. It's probably from that, the way that they look.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into my general thoughts really fast because you guys are throwing me off. I'm sure we watched the same movie, but I guess I got a completely different feeling than you. I really like this movie. I thought there was a lot of eeriness to it, and a lot of it creeped me out a lot. But also it was a good movie and it told a really good story. And I like the special effects in this movie as well. They weren't like top end, but they were good enough, and they were very creative with it. And
yeah, a lot of them were. What also reminded me of the thing was a lot of them were practical too.
yeah,
Like a lot of the stuff in it was like practical and special effects, and there wasn't a ton of CGI in that movie. I think like the only really notable CGI in that entire movie was probably like one of the creatures on like the final scene. And
okay.
that's what I could think of.
And I thought this had a very good ending and some good character development. But that's about as general as I can get. Otherwise, I'm going to be spoiling it like heck. So let's get into spoiler territory. Spoilers! Okay. So the beginning of this movie is very quick. There's a lot of stuff that happens. And it really sets up the universe. The first two characters I believe that are introduced are Vincent and Simon, which you don't figure out until later on. But Simon is mute.
No, it was the cop and the druggie. Those were the first two people who were introduced.
Okay, the cop and the druggie. But what about the scene where
there's a scene. Yeah.
Oh wait, that's yeah.
Yeah, where they go.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah,
they shoot one of the monsters. Yeah, and then there's the cop and that druggie, and I didn't bother looking up the druggie's name, but
I don't think he has a name. I mean, just call him Druggie.
Yeah. But like the movie it really gets down to it, and it really drops you in this universe.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, the way it opens, it's very quick to get you intrigued by it. It makes you want to know, like, okay, so why did that just happen? Because I think the woman that they shot was gonna turn into one of the monster creatures or whatever, and then I think later on they explain that's why they shot her. And then I forget in the beginning scene, did it show any of the occultists there?
I think
no. They did not.
Okay, never mind. But yeah, and then I forget the dialogue that they have because I haven't seen the movie in a while. I should have rewatched it. But I think like they say something they gotta go or something. Of course, that leads in with the druggie running into the woods and meeting the cop. So yeah, the beginning is a very good setup because with some movies, if like that can either work or won't work. Like it'll either try to get you into it really quick and you're like, okay, that was good, or it'll just be like, okay, that was like really stupid, and it instantly makes you like not want to care. But I believe that The Void did it very well.
Yeah. When you start off a movie with murder and lighting someone on fire, it kind of grabs your attention.
I'd agree with that statement.
True.
But yeah, do you want me to like kind of summarize the movie? Since I'm pretty sure I just saw it like an hour ago, or rewatched it an hour ago.
No, I don't. I mean, if you have better recollection of the plot and you want to start moving down, but no. Because,
oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. To the next part, I guess. We're introduced to the cop. And then he takes this druggie to a hospital, but it's one that's about to move.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but his ex-wife works there, and there's definitely some bad blood and stuff like that there. And then this crap starts happening. There's a monster that comes. It kind of looks like the Thing. And then
with all those tentacles and just how grotesque it looks.
Yeah, well, like the cop walks back into a room where there's a patient, and he finds one of his friends, woman friends that we were not really introduced to all too much before that. But she like kills a guy, and she's like, "This is not my face," and she's like carving up her face, and he's like, "Whoa!" and she like runs at him, and he shoots her, and he gets a little traumatized. And then later on, she comes back as whatever that thing was. It was basically just a giant mass of flesh with like tentacles coming out, and it was like grabbing people and killing them. Well, it only did it to one person, but it was very reminiscent of the Thing.
Okay, so what happens after? Actually, brings me to an interesting point. The middle to me seems a little bit slow. There's not a lot of. I mean, here now and again, but it's just kind of figuring out what's going on, and there's a lot of sitting around waiting and trying to. If you
Yeah, there's a
understand
lot
what I'm
of.
saying.
Yeah, I'd have to. I didn't think really think
I'd
about it,
agree
but
with
I'd have
that.
to agree. Yeah,
Yeah, it
there's a
starts
lot of
to.
sitting around and waiting.
I'd probably say it starts to pick up again when the cop, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go get the shotgun out of my car, and then he has like an argument with what you said the name was Vincent and Simon.
Yeah.
And he has an argument with him. He's like, well, that's our shotgun or something like that because they want the shotgun. And he was like, well, I'm a cop. I'm gonna go get the shotgun. So then they go out to get the shotgun, but then his car's like moved away from where it was, and then all the cultists are around the building, and then that big siren goes off. So then I liked that part a lot. I thought that was pretty cool. And there's still a lot of ambiguity. Oh, I can't say that word still. But
Ambiguity.
yeah, I said it right. Ambiguity, because like, why is there a big siren going off? And like, why are these strange robed men with triangles on their face? Yeah, I liked probably I'd say all the designs for everything out of this movie. I like the way the occultists look, and then especially when I'm going to be jumping a little bit further into the movie when they all go down into the basement, the part of the hospital that doesn't exist on the maps, and then they come across all the like the dead bodies, and then the one doctor dude is like, oh, these are all the failed experiments or whatever, and then like they're like the creatures, and they can die, and there's like that one crazy looking one that kind of like moves around on all fours, and that's what really reminded me of Silent Hill. How they go in there and then it just looks all like dead and terrible.
Are you talking about the one that drags the druggie away?
Yeah, I was just like that entire area. And there's a certain creature. Yeah, I think it is the one that walks on all fours because like it gets up in a really weird way. It's like laying on the ground and all its limbs are sprawled about, and then like it like contorts itself and then it starts to like crawl on all fours, like kind of crab
Yeah,
walk.
it's just a person. It's just a weird looking person.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like I just like the designs of all of them. Like I just like the way they all look weird, and like that entire like the setting of the abandoned part of the hospital reminds me a lot of Silent Hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was trying to say with that, and that's why like that was another thing I thought that was like really cool about it.
The one thing that I do have to say is like also with the middle part, because I don't really have anything to add on top of the. I thought that was very cool, like the design of all these monsters and stuff, and I'll talk about more about that in a second. But the dialogue to me, it felt a little bit forced and a little bit cheap. It didn't flow that well at times, particularly in the middle when Daniel, the cop, was talking and like he was giving demands and stuff to Vincent and Simon.
Yeah, there's this one part. I forget what he said. But I do remember like I was playing a video game while I was while I was rewatching the movie, so I wasn't paying too much attention to it. But I remember him saying something, and I looked up from my screen to look over at the screen that was playing the movie, and I was like, that was a little weird. Like it did seem kind of forced at sometimes.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too major, but just enough so I could notice. But let's get back to. I think that's pretty much all the gripes I have. There's not really anything else. So let's get to. Okay, back to the design. Or the story.
Well, one. Did you want to say anything?
No, go.
Okay, so I was gonna say another like part of the story I liked was like how the psychological element, like the psychological horror with the main character. You said his name was Daniel.
Yes.
How he's seeing visions of the void and stuff, and how all of the people like Simon and Vincent when they were affected by all like I don't know exactly how they explain it to where they see these visions because I don't think they really explain it to how like the people get infected either and they become monsters because I think what it implies is like once the one doctor dude that dies, but then eventually it's revealed that he was like one of the occult leaders or one of them like the main like heads behind all that's happening once he gets into your head. Like
he was the head.
Yeah, it's like once you die, then like you become a creature from the void or whatever. So I did like how it showed like most like the characters when they were going through all that trauma, how like it showed them like going through it and what it would be like, with all this stuff going on. Because I think Daniel, he thought his wife was dead or something because she had a miscarriage. And then that's when he goes in the one room, and then the doctor's like, "Oh, I can remake her." And then like she's on the table or something, but it's just like a vision, and like there's tentacles coming out of. It's something weird like that. Do you guys remember what I'm saying?
Yes, I remember, but I thought it actually happened. But then I do remember at the end of the movie that she is there with him. So it's kind of interesting. So was it just a vision? Because like there was a scene where he wasn't there, and it was showing something squirming on her, like there was something growing out of her.
I honestly think it was reality.
Oh, you think?
That the tentacles coming out of her stomach, and it was like, and where she was just like laying on the table, and I think she was still alive but barely, and that's why he took an axe to her. But because of the scene we saw with her that had her last, she looked down and there was something moving in her stomach, and the doctor insinuated that something was about to happen. And then so when the cop walks into the room and his, I would say that, well, obviously her being, alive and well, in the hospital gown, just laying there was the vision. That was the vision, but the tentacles coming out of her and her being pretty much dead, that was reality. Because the previous scene, there was, if that was a vision, I don't see why that would make much sense. Because I mean, who was he fooling?
Well,
there would have been no purpose to it.
I think one of the things about it was like the way you get infected. Because you and I, we talked about because I remember we watched this movie together. And we talked about it because I forget if it explicitly says in the movie, but like, does it say he gets into your head through anger or something like that?
No,
like,
it was just the druggie. He just screamed. I don't remember when, but he just said he's in our heads. I think it's when you get scared.
Yeah, it's something like that. Well, because that makes sense now. Because then if she is dead, and I guess if you die from him or something involving with the void, when you die, you go to the void because she's there with a Daniel at the end, and they're both standing there looking at the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah, I guess that makes sense that she would be dead, and that her like soul or whatever.
Yeah, they're both
went to
dead.
went to the void. Okay, that makes more sense now that I think of it. Okay, yeah, okay, you're right. But yeah, I did like the psychological stuff about it, and then when wait. So is Simon? Is he the adult or is that the mute?
Simon's the mute.
Simon's the mute. Okay, and like when Vincent he sees his wife or whatever, and he tries to kill Simon.
Yeah,
I like that stuff too. And then he like sacrifices himself to try and kill the huge fetus.
I was about to talk about that too. Yeah, I thought that was a great dynamic between Vincent and Simon. And they developed their relationship, and then like how Simon really looks up to him, even though he seems like, because Simon seems like a very strong and like willed character, even though he's mute, and he's just
I agree with that.
They seem a little bit more like a team rather than Vincent being over him at times. But then other times, and particularly this ending, the point that they hammer home is that Simon's just a kid, and but he knows what he has to do, and that's why he kills Vincent, because he knows in order to save other people, well, himself, but other people, he has to kill this monster. And unfortunately, in order to do that, he also has to kill Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that I've heard a bunch of questions about is how the doctor didn't show up in the void at the very end, because remember, he was pushed in, the cop pushed him in with him. So a lot of questions arose to, it was like, oh, where is he at? I think I have a theory that I kind of thought of, but what do you guys think?
I thought well, I didn't really think about it that much because I was just kind of like, okay, bad guy's dead or whatever. But I guess if I think about it a little bit, then like maybe he's just like in a different part of the void. Maybe it's like a hierarchy there. He's in the pyramid or something, or he's like just not where they are. Because since like the void is kind of like a different realm or dimension, I don't know. Maybe they're just in different places, or maybe since he's like, I don't know. Maybe he just like since he like failed whatever being is in the void, the being was just like you're useless, like burn in hell, and just like he's dead for good. He's just like nothing about it. But I don't really know. I didn't really think about it that much.
Yeah, me neither.
What did you think, Ben? Oh, well, my guess is that he actually became one with the void because he went through a transformation where he was kind of like a void beast, kind of. Does that make sense? My theory is that does that kind of make sense that he would become like one with the void if someone who is a part of, because he was kind of a part of the void already when he was on Earth, because he was able to get into people's minds and manipulate reality however he wanted to. He was basically a conduit for the void. He was a part of it. So being a part of the void, when they pushed him into the portal that leads to it, he just became a part of it. So he's just gone forever. Yeah, that main doctor was pretty interesting. Yeah, every time like he started speaking, I made sure to kind of like look away from a video game and make sure that I was paying attention to what he said, because every time he talked, at least after he died the first time, every time he talked, he had something very important to either the backstory of what's currently happening, or something extremely relevant to what's happening at that moment. So he was definitely the head guy. He started all of it. Well, maybe not all of it, but yeah, I think he started all of it. And I think as soon as he was able to show people that how far he got, they got convinced. And that's when all those people in white robes with the black triangle on their hoods showed up. That's when they joined. They're probably just normal townsfolk.
Just crazy.
That's what I think.
But I was also gonna add. I didn't really think there was a super weak performance in this movie either.
No.
Like I'd say everybody acted decently well to like good.
Yep.
Like everybody put in a good effort. I say especially like we were talking about earlier, Simon and Vincent. I think those were both like really good performances. I'd say those were the two strongest in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they remind me of Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural. But I really the pregnant girl, she
Maggie.
yes, her performance was really good.
Oh yeah, especially
towards the end.
Yeah, when she was gonna have the fetus creature.
Yeah, and like her smile is like really creepy. So I like good job on would it be the producer who chooses who gets to play who?
There's probably a talent scout. Well, actually, I think the producer does recruit. I don't know. I think it can just depend.
I think usually they'll just have casting agencies or whatever.
Either way, good job to whoever.
Good
job to whoever hired her because.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. I understand that now.
Okay, this is very interesting. Hold on. Keep going. Keep talking, and then I'll come back to it.
I was probably gonna say I think my favorite piece of like practical effects in that movie were, I really really like the design of the Doctor when he didn't have any skin on.
Definitely.
I thought that looked really cool.
You could definitely tell who's the head honcho.
Yeah, and it was just like the way he just looked so fleshy and it looked super realistic. I mean,
and the composition shots showed that he was, the main guy too. Every time you saw him, it was the camera looking up to him.
Oh yeah, you're right.
making him seem taller. But at the end, but like in your mind, you're like, that guy's got to be like 6'5" or something crazy like that. But at the end, you kind of realize that when he was choking out the cop had his feet firmly on the ground, and he was able to push him in. When you look at that like side angle when they're going into or wide shot when they're going into the portal,
that's what I was just
you're like,
about.
oh, that guy's like an average height. So it was really good camera work too.
The cinematography, like just the way it was all shot, showing him. Yeah, it's very good when movies do that, and they like through the visuals they show who those like I don't know it's cinematography, but there's another term for it. Like I don't know the exact term you're talking about, but I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about, and I agree with that.
Okay, I think we have an answer. I don't know. For smaller films, it might work differently, because you have a limited amount of people, and I think the jobs can vary. Actually, in my film as art class, the person who was looking for actors was the producer.
Oh, okay.
But sorry, we watched a short film from a former student at the university that I go to, and the producer was the one who looked for the actors for this short film. And so I think it can just depend, but probably for bigger budget films, they have Wikipedia says that involves it has a casting panel, and so you might have like producers and directors. They're saying like theater directors and theater producers, people who are more theater based, I should say, for the guys who are involved that. But I'm sure the director's also on the panel, and maybe the producer. I don't know, because for some reason I've always thought of producers, the guys just handle the money. They're just like, here you go.
Well, don't executive producers and people like that, don't they make sure like the movie stays on track and it doesn't stray away from its original vision? Because I thought that's what that was I was reading something about Blade Runner 2049. Like Ridley Scott was on set a lot of the time. I guess he was like, so if they were going to do something strange, to be like, oh wait, that's not how that's supposed to be. And we'd like tell him how to do it. But then again, he said he didn't like the movie, I think, so I don't know.
Okay, the executive producer may be concerned with management, accounting, with associated legal issues. I think this is, main.
Okay.
Does not work on set like most other producers. Producers can fill a wide variety of roles. They can be involved in. I think they find I think for the they find like the main ones, like the director, I'm assuming, and then it also says they find the screenwriter. And it's just about finding like the main positions, and then those main positions work down from there.
Oh, okay.
That's basically what I'm getting. I could be hosing it all up, but let's get back to the movie.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to say about the movie, unless you guys wanted to say something really quick, was
I'm fine.
okay. I really like the atmosphere and the eeriness of it, as you guys both said earlier, or might have been Ben that just said it.
I did.
But that's what I thought. But yeah, I really like the way it was shot and just how you watch it, and I don't know, it's one of those movies I feel like it'd be really good to watch on a Halloween night. Like it's just I don't know, those vibes I like from it. It's just creepy and stuff like that. That's all I wanted to say.
Apparently you and I are very different, because my version of Halloween is like the fun version of Halloween. Like the Scooby-Doo version.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I like to get scared a lot, so that's why I said.
Yeah, I don't really like to be scared. I like the more fantasy-oriented stuff.
Oh, okay.
But,
I'm with Chris here.
Yeah, I don't know.
How dare you?
I like the adrenaline of being scared.
Leave me alone.
And I feel like, unless it's a really emotional movie, horror movies, like horror is one of the only genres that can like make you feel like intense like, I don't want to say feelings because that sounds really weird, but like intense, like I don't know
Intense
what word
fear?
I'm looking for. Like, well, yeah, like, well, I mean that's a given since it's horror, but like it affects you after the movie on like a physical way because it'll make you paranoid, and you'll be in. It kind of gets your adrenaline pumping.
It
So
doesn't
it's like,
have to be with.
well, yeah, that's why I was saying though, like
I like
you
those
can,
powerful feelings in movies, but not scary.
yeah, well, because like if you watch like a really sad movie, you might cry, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's
But
really
like
bad.
who?
No, I don't
But
usually
yeah,
do that.
like who'll go like home from a movie theater after like watching, I don't know, like a chick flick. I don't know, not even like right after the movie theater. Like how about let's say a week after the movie theater, and they'll be laying in bed, looking up in the darkness, and like that was a really good kiss scene. Like for like horror movies, like it'd be like a week after you saw it, and you'll be looking in the darkness, and you'll think it's like, man, that was a really really scary monster that was, or like crazy death scene, or
I hope I don't
like,
die right now. That's just,
yeah, like
Well, I
horror
guess I'm
movies
a
can
hopeless
really stick with you.
romantic then, because I think about those things, Cody.
oh,
Oh man.
then
I know.
it's all right though. I do like. Well, I like some romantic movies. That's getting off
I
track.
really, actually, I don't like them that much. The the only romantic movie I've seen recently that I like is the Before trilogy.
Is what?
The Before trilogy. I did a
I don't know what
podcast
that
on
is.
it.
Oh, I guess I'll have to go watch a podcast after this.
Yeah, same here. I like the
Yeah.
mysteries surrounded by a bunch of the characters, like
I do too.
like I keep on forgetting their names, so I'm just gonna call them Sam and Dean. So,
Vincent and Simon. Simon's the
okay,
man.
Vincent and Simon. So, there's like a brief part when they're in the the non-existent basement, where Vincent goes crazy and tries to kill his son. Like, you should have protected them, and we see like a photo on the wall where it shows Vincent, Simon, supposedly the mother, and she had a newborn baby in her arms, and then we briefly see like a bloody leg of a woman with like the baby blanket like right next to it, and so it's so all we know is that Vincent blames Simon for the death of his wife and his baby for some reason. It never tells us, outright, but that's about it. And that's what I like about this movie and movies like this. It'll show us, it shows us a realistic amount. And, if we were thrown in, as if we were actually there, no one has to, give us a backstory of people, or a full backstory. But, if you hang around people long enough, their backstory will naturally come out. And that's what this movie did. It made it seem natural, which will always leave to some holes. People don't usually explain everything about their backstory. They only when it comes up naturally, they only talk about what's relevant. They're not gonna talk about something. You know what I mean? It's just
it's
at least
visual
generally,
storytelling.
yeah, it's visual storytelling, which leaves mystery, and that's what I liked about this movie.
Yeah, it's like where things will be like implied or explained on screen, but not through words. That's what you're saying. How like you could infer the many things that happened, like with his son and like his wife and his baby dying. How like he's like, oh, why didn't you protect her? You could either say, oh, maybe he was there but he was hiding or something like that,
or he was asleep upstairs,
or he was asleep, or he was out with friends or something like that. And it's like you could like talk about that any way, and not every way is necessarily wrong either. It's up to interpretation.
That's well, not necessarily interpretation, but it's up to speculation. We don't really know what happened to the mom or the baby. All we know is that what's his face failed to protect her and his baby brother or sister. That's all we know. and that's what I'm trying to get at, is that I don't know for sure what happened is what's kind of great about these movies, and they do it on purpose, not as an accident. Like a lot of movies will do that where they just like Steven Universe, the TV show.
Wow.
I've been looking at rants about it online, and the main problem is people are like, yeah, there's a lot of like plot holes, not necessarily plot holes, but things that just completely go unexplained for 4 seasons. Like, why are and you can tell by it that it's by accident. Like they're just not getting around to explaining explaining the universe to the audience. Like this movie kind of gave us, a bite of the apple without showing us the whole apple.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a worm in the apple.
Yeah.
Quite
That's
possibly.
a joke just to ruin your analogy.
But yeah, that's very well.
No, it still works. We don't know what's in the rest of the apple.
Yeah, but do you want to bite a worm? That's not
You
good.
don't know if there's a worm in there or not, Ben.
Yeah, my analogy still works. I don't know if there's a worm in there or not.
Schrodinger's cat.
Wait, hold on. That
You
brings
don't know
you.
if the cat's dead until you open the box.
Mm-hmm.
You never open the box. The cat is neither dead nor alive.
Yeah. Or both dead and alive.
Yeah, it's both dead and alive. You can't. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, do you guys have anything else?
No,
besides it's a good movie.
Yeah, good movie. Lots of mystery that I like.
Okay, check
Purposeful
it out.
mystery.
Like I would say, I personally wouldn't want like another movie made, but I think it'd be cool if they made like novels or comics in the same universe.
Oh, definitely, especially comics.
That would definitely, I could see that being like a really good, like having like maybe a 4 or 5 part like comic series or something. Like I could see that that'd be like really, really cool. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. So I guess that's gonna be it. Please comment what you thought of this podcast. Comment what you thought of these people. And subscribe. Make sure to check out Cody's channel. And that's it. See you guys later. Say bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Goodbye.
B-Dog. Out.